Yeah, dude. And Snowden would tell you that the Patriot Act is the downfall of America, probably.
I would 100% agree with that.
It's like literally...
The Patriot Act was the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end, yeah. And that's
It was
oof, that's tough.
It was what the CIA and career politicians, career bureaucrats, and the quote-unquote deep state, it's what they wanted all along since the 50s and 60s. I mean, this is like, everything that they could everything that they could ever want or hope for. And that's what leads a lot of conspiracy theorists to believe that 9/11 was an inside job, or that the CIA was implicit in the acts of that day, implicated in the acts of that day. Like they knew about it, they didn't do anything to stop it, and they were like, this is going to be great for us because we can finally have the tools to go after and get these guys once they realize how dangerous they are.
Yeah, I know, and I get that. That's honestly a good argument. I don't know what to say. When you see how much they wanted it, you're like, man.
Mm-hmm. If you look at the abuses the FBI and the CIA have done in the 20th century, in the last half of the 20th century, and what they've just done during the Trump administration, it was egregious.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that you've got senators basically threatening social media companies like, hey, you got to do something about so-and-so, or we might have to get involved. We might have to break up your big company. We might have to tax you differently. We might have to censor your comment section or whatever. And I think Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg got the hint. We're like, look, we don't want, Dianne Feinstein's basically openly threatening them during those Senate hearings and saying, if you don't do this, things will change for you. And she's a senator from California. That's where they're all located, of course. So they're going to take her threats a little bit more seriously. She's been in the Senate for like 100 years.
It just sucks, man. That's not how. I mean,
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. But like, how do you? I don't know. Like we say that, but I guess I just felt like a company that big would fight back. No, they don't have. I mean, Elon didn't even get threatened, and he moved out.
What incentive do they have to fight back? I mean, they've got more money and power if they go with the flow.
Yeah, so then it comes down to principles.
You fight back. You end up like Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy. Run out on a rail, losing all his commercial spots on a lot of stuff, and he kind of went off the deep end though a little bit.
Yeah, he did. He did. He went a little bit too extreme there.
Mm-hmm. But even there's even certain just baseline conservatives are getting run out on a rail if they're making their views public in their business. Like there was a video game CEO that basically said that he was happy that Texas passed its pro-life bill. And he was the founder of the company, and he got booted out of his own company, and he had to resign because he sent out a tweet that basically said, "I support the right to life Texas bill." That was it, and he was done, out of his own company. I mean, the guy was already a multi-millionaire, so he probably just retired at 35 or 45, however old he was. But at the same time, it's like,
if you have any kind of platform or you have any kind of money, you're getting ruined, and it all comes from this Patriot bill.
Yeah, and like AJ was saying, if you're Nicki Minaj, why are you getting calls from the White House saying, "Hey, we need to come talk to you. We need to basically like readjust your freaking MK Ultra mind control, and you need to be spitting out the right narrative."
Did you see that? Did you see like the screenshots from the media trying to get a hold of Nicki Minaj?
Yeah,
she posted all that crap.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Good
dude.
for her.
Honestly, it was awesome. I still like her songs are ridiculous or whatever, but like that was like wow.
Yeah,
and she like literally doxed the reporter. I'm like, what the heck, dude? Is this what it's come to, man?
Yeah.
The last people that we would ever put faith in or expect or even want, maybe besides Kanye because he's awesome, are the ones doing DaBaby. How is he the guy? He's also talking out against vaccines and stuff. Where did this guy come from, you know?
Huh.
It's weird, man. And I'm like, it's crazy to me. Why do they have to be the people that do it? I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying they should. That's amazing. But if some legitimate person comes up, like the reason that we just had those guys on the podcast, literally they said, because otherwise we'll get absolutely wrecked or canceled and no one will see this. And I'm like, well, I mean, I hope that doesn't happen to us, you know? But what the heck, dude?
I was thinking about that too. And this kind of stems from the surveillance state that we live in now is your neighbors are ratting you out. And the thing is, conservatives and those freedom-minded people, those independent thinkers are going to start going underground. They're just going to stop getting on social media. They're not even going to use Parler. They don't want to be found by, the blob, right?
And that's not good.
Of course not. And guess what happens when you have that subculture go underground? Then you start getting more and more radicals that come out of that.
You know how people get free. They start not free, then they go underground, then they're above ground, and they break out. Mm-hmm. We're going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
There's a clear thing that's happening here. We're going the exact opposite direction.
And tons of people are so happy that football is back. For two reasons. One, it feels like the pandemic is slowly coming to an end because there's crowds and stuff. There's fans back in stadiums, and that's good. That's really good. But at the same time, it's, my distraction is back. I don't have to pay attention anymore. I can just play fantasy football, go do my job, come home, veg out, and rinse and repeat. They're not thinking about what's going on around them, the censorship and the surveillance and the government. And another long-term consequence of the Patriot Act was the the Bank Secrecy Act and Right to Financial Privacy Act. Those financial rights are being eroded away. The IRS right now so banks have to report, financial institutions have to report any transaction above $10,000 period to the IRS. If you withdraw $10,001 from your checking account, that transaction is reported to the IRS. If I give you $10,001 for a car, we have to report that to the IRS. And then
right now they're working on trying to change that too.
I was going to say, exactly. And Biden wants to introduce a plan to still got it pulled up. So the Bank Secrecy Act requires financial institutions to report to the IRS transactions exceeding $10,000 or multiple transactions in aggregate of $10,000 a single day related to the same consumer or business. This is from bkd.com. So it's kind of what I just explained. In May 2021, so last May, as part of the, quote, American Families Plan, President Biden proposed that financial institutions should report to the IRS consumer and business account activity exceeding $600 annually. The U.S. Department of the Treasury explained the proposal's purpose is to, quote, to increase the visibility of gross receipts and expenses to the IRS. So I can't remember when this whole reporting $10,000 started, but before that, nothing had to be reported to the IRS unless it was income. And before that, there was no IRS. It was just sales taxes. I believe it was just a national sales tax and tariffs and that sort of thing. There was no income tax before. When was the 19th Amendment passed? 1919, I think, something like that. And so yeah, the whole, that's crazy. $600. Currently, financial institutions are required to provide Form 1099 INT to taxpayers when they earn more than $10 in interest from an account. The expectation is to use this existing form to capture gross inflows and outflows of the activity in business and consumer accounts, payment settlement entities, PayPal, Venmo, Square, etc., and cryptocurrency exchanges and custodians would also be required to report gross receipts and purchases. So if you make money off your crypto, they want to know about it. If you send money to your friend via Venmo or PayPal, they want to know about it.
Yeah, so but back to what we were saying before, the guys that just want to veg out. I kind of want to, like, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you think that maybe that's not a charger.
Oh.
Your charger should be...
Right here. I got you.
Okay.
They want to what?
They want to, like, a lot of this stuff we're also always surrounded by is a little bit overkill, if that makes sense.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, I'm saying like if you're surrounded in your echo chamber, if you're always surrounded by the negatives, sometimes more than just the negatives, sometimes a little bit more extreme of an opinion or more over the top than it really is, then you're going to there's this constant just fear or anxiety or whatever about the future. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have that. But sometimes I don't know if that's necessarily the healthiest thing in the world. It's very hard for people to have a realistic view of the future, if that makes sense. Like we have a realistic view of the future. We know that there's a lot of things wrong and we're probably headed for a bad direction. But I can still sleep at night.
Why do you think you can sleep at night?
Well, okay, that's different then, right? Because it's because of beliefs, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
It's that's not. It's not political beliefs, though.
Exactly. Politics isn't everything.
Right. Yes, it definitely has to do with God and everything else. But I'm just, I don't like, yeah, it's hard to, you can't. This is what I have a problem with on the podcast.
There's long term. There's always that optimism.
I know. This is what I have a problem with on the podcast.
Countries come and go, man.
I have a problem figuring out how to spread that message inside a very, very, very hot political country.
So,
does that make sense?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. My take on that would be, if you're listening to this, my advice would be don't come to us for religious advice. Don't come to us for religious or a theocratic opinion. You need to find a church you like, find a pastor you like, find a religion you like. If you're kind of a-religious, or agnostic or whatever, find a religion you like, or that you can agree with, or that complements your values, and go with it. Whether it's Buddhism or Judaism or Christianity or whatever.
Because that gives you the optimism that you're saying? Is that what
that gives you spiritual clarity, I feel like. And that spiritual clarity can first of all help you sleep at night. Second of all, it'll give you peace, inner peace, and that'll help you sleep at night, obviously. And you'll be able to walk away from a lot of pettiness and a lot of emotion. And that's where it's at.
So that's
then you can kind of go from there, clear your head, and take on a subject logically.
And you're literally doing this
without
every day,
emotion.
by the way. Like you wake up in the morning, or I wake up in the morning, and I'm like clear. But if let's just pretend I didn't have that, and I spent every single day doing the same thing I do. I'm always on Twitter, toxic AF. I'm always on the news. It's always negative, whatever. Right? And for the longest time, I didn't want to be involved in politics, and I was the veg out guy. Right? I wasn't really vegging out, but I didn't want to be involved in it. Because I didn't want to be surrounded by that negativity all the time, thinking that would affect me,
Right.
But then I guess I realized finally that it doesn't have to affect you, I guess, that way. But I'm just trying to say that I understand that person's perspective. You know what I mean?
Right. They want to be.
And also, everyone's not going to be a revolutionary.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
And I know that. I'm hoping that those people will follow suit. They're obviously followers. They will follow suit,
But that's the thing.
Hoping that would happen, right?
You may not be a revolutionary, but you will have to make a choice. And I think it's going to be in the next, 5-7 years. You're going to have to make a serious choice of whether you want to just let the government make those decisions, like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Whether you want to let the government make those decisions, or whether you want to make those decisions, whether you want to make the choice to get the vaccine, whether you want to make the choice to go to a public school or
excuse me,
what doctor you want, or where you want to live, or what kind of engine your car has.
COVID, I promise.
Like, those choices should be up to the individual. And the fact that, I mean, so realistically, I am not very optimistic about the direction of the country right now, especially with the illegal immigration. I think that you have tens of thousands of illegal immigrants coming in every single day at this point. It's completely unsustainable, even in the short term. And it's becoming, even this latest crisis with the 15,000 in Del Rio, it's a humanitarian crisis, and it's not even just Central Americans anymore. There's a bunch of Africans. And a bunch of people from Haiti.
That Haiti thing was huge, dude.
Yeah, there was thousands from Haiti, and then hundreds from other African countries. It's like how they came years ago, stayed in Central America, and have been waiting.
I was about to say they interviewed one of those girls, one of the moms in Haiti or whatever. Mm-hmm. They were in Chile for 5 years, bro. 5 years. Now we're seeing reports from a freaking drone from Alex Jones, his own crew, whatever, his video crew. They're going across the border, back across to their border, getting takeout, dude.
Yep.
Topo Chico freaking enchiladas, and taking it back to America. Mm-hmm. That's how quick they're doing this crap.
I saw that. I saw they're going back for groceries.
Going back to their refugee camps. Mm-hmm. So they're using American soil, and then using a terrible economy to get cheap crap, essentially, right? Because Mexico's cheap, I guess, compared to America. That infuriates me, bro. But what are we doing?
The fact that they're willing to just like hop over means that they're probably not coming to seek asylum, right? Like they're not religious minorities or being persecuted, via a communist country. No, they just want like a better job.
Right.
They just want a better freaking job, and guess what? It's not here.
Right.
Like
there was I think there was a senator or a representative that was like, basically like we give exceptions to them because they're not staying, as far as the vaccine mandates go, or getting vaccinated.
Yeah. Okay.
They're like, no, they're not staying. They're just here for
bullshit.
Right. I'm like, what the heck? How is that? How is their logic there? And then on the Emmys, their excuse. So someone actually inquired.
Oh yeah.
And their excuse was that it was music or movie or film production, so it doesn't apply. They're able to get around it that way. That's.
Oh yeah. Well, Gavin Newsom gave Hollywood a giant hall pass and said y'all basically can do whatever you want. The film industry, Hollywood. That's why he was endorsed by all the Hollywood unions.
I'm just surprised Newsom. That these things we're talking about are so blatant and overt, yet people are still talking about random conspiracy theories, which I'm not saying they're not true. I don't know, whatever. That's they're there.
Like COVID conspiracies or
even
what?
Any conspiracy, it doesn't freaking matter, dude. Trump's coming back or whatever the heck it is. It doesn't matter. All these crazy things. Like, what about the elephant in the room that literally is right in front of us? Is it just old news now? We're just not worried about it now. When are we going to start pushing that more and more and more? See, the thing I think the biggest problem with social media right now, besides all the actual social media problems, we're moving so fast from news to news.
News cycles like 24 hours.
That no one is pushing what happens. So like when you see Newsom, I gave Hollywood a pass. It's pushed for 24 hours and then done, gone.
I mean, not even. Mainstream media won't even cover stuff like that.
So there's no actual time to have a physical resistance created for that specific wrongdoing, if you will. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's what I think it's a huge problem now, because like we will always complain and say, well, what the heck are we doing about it? What are we going to do about it? You're not going to do anything about it because it's literally going to be gone in 24 hours. Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
the thing is, now here's what gives me a little glimmer of hope is that President Biden is running through so many. So here's the analogy I can come up with. So president is like a hurdler, like on a track, like you do hurdles, right? You're jumping over the little hurdles on the track.
Nice.
I'm just trying to put the image in your head. Hurdling, guys jumping over them. So, anyways, you see President Obama. He's running like, and he jumps up. Okay, his foot kind of caught that hurdle. Like he's doing okay. He's all right. You know, Bush.
We have a
hurdle. Bush was kind of he was jogging along, and he kind of just like walked around some hurdles, and Cheney was kind of lifting him over hurdles a lot of the time. You get to Trump, and he's just blasting through it. He's like freaking on steroids, just jumping over hurdles left and right, clearing them. But the announcer's like, Trump hits another hurdle. He hits another hurdle. Oh, he just running right through him. Biden is like going the wrong way, hitting every single hurdle on the track, and just confused, eating ice cream, chocolate chip, like really confused. Like, why? I am on a track. What are these hurdles in here? Get out of my way, hurdle. He just knocks him down with his hand. And the announcer's like, Biden jumps another hurdle miraculously. Oh, he's gonna get another hurdle. And then by the sound of the announcer, you're like, okay, he's doing okay. And then next thing you know, the announcer's like, oh, he kind of hit a hurdle, and he keeps knocking him down, going the wrong way. Remember, he's doing terrible. And finally, the announcer's like, okay, he's hit 10 hurdles. I can't really like hide that. Like the audience is gonna plainly see this. There's a crowd here watching this track event, and now news anchors like Chuck Todd are basically saying we have a competency problem in the U.S. Our leadership has that's from freaking as mainstream media as you can get. Chuck Todd. It's like, we have a credibility problem. We have a competency problem. You got France withdrawing its ambassadors for the first time in U.S. history ever. It took our longest ally, and they withdrew their ambassador under President Biden.
Yeah, but weren't they mad at the U.S., the Australia and UN?
No. U.S., UK, and Australia. So here's the situation with that story. So Australia and France had a deal that the U.S. military contractors would basically build submarines for France, and France would sell them to Australia. Don't ask me why it was that convoluted, but that's the deal that it was.
Are we drop shipping? Stupid. Drop shipping submarines.
Basically, yeah. And these weren't even nuclear submarines. These were conventionally powered, quote unquote, which means they're diesels.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Big ships are typically diesels if they're not nuclear. And then the U.S. So that they had this deal working since I think 2015, 2016, something like that. Like, it's been around for a while, and it was an 11-year deal. I think they were building 11 submarines, is what it was, and the U.S. comes in, and without speaking with France, Emmanuel Macron, they didn't speak with France at all. The U.S. talked to Australia, and they talked to UK, and they said, hey, we're going to make this a trilateral deal and just cut out France completely. Because France is basically being a middleman. But we were using their harbors and like their shipbuilding facilities to build these submarines, but they were being designed by U.S. Weapons companies, essentially. I know it gets a little bit confusing, but we basically cut out France entirely from the deal. And we basically meddled in France-Australia affairs. The U.S. government did, when really it was just U.S. private businesses involved in this deal to begin with. So France is clearly pissed off at us because they missed out on billions and billions of dollars from Australia. And the UK and Australia are super happy because Australia is actually getting better submarines with this new deal to counteract China, it's actually a strong move against China.
But it's that's all we see, right? It's
a really weak move against in terms of the relationship with our allies.
Okay.
And France has been a fantastic ally for hundreds of years at this point.
Right.
They helped us win the revolution. They helped us We helped them in Vietnam. We helped them in World War II. They helped us in the Middle East. French troops were some of the last to pull out of Afghanistan with us. Just now. French and UK. They've been all around the world with us. We've been all around the world with them. So, first time their ambassadors have ever been pulled, and they were pulled in protest of this deal. In our 200 plus year, nearly 250 years as allies.
Why? Yeah, it's weird.
Over 250 years as allies.
I agree, the move needs to happen like that. I don't think we should sell the submarines to them like that, but the move can still be headlined so that China sees it.
You can still call Emmanuel Macron and give him the respect of saying, "Hey, look, I've got to redo this deal. This is what's going to happen. What can I do to smooth this over and make it not an international fiasco? No phone call at all." Like, that's insulting. They didn't deserve that. I agree that the deal probably was a better deal.
Well, yeah,
but the way it was handled was just awful. Yeah.
You can't just not call them and just do it.
Yeah.
It's like no call, no show, except for billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. And like the whole analogy I was getting at with the hurdles is Biden keeps knocking him over, and it's getting more and more obvious to everybody that he is really just inept. He's not up to the job.
I don't see, and I don't think that's it. He's an idiot in a way, but some part of me still says all this stuff's on purpose, dude. And I don't know how, I don't know why.
The chaos.
Yes, dude. I'm thinking like, there's no way. There's come on, dude. He has staff. He just says, get the troops out of Afghanistan. That's all he says, and they're like, we got it. We'll do it for you.
Well,
fine.
Fine. The thing is, who gets the ultimate say over who the staff is, who gets hired and fired? The Biden does.
Biden does, I know, but his staff is still younger than him. I would hope they have some kind of.
Of course, yeah. But
they don't have dementia. I'm just saying,
yeah.
Like you can't. There's no.
But his
either that or they're sitting by and letting him die.
Yeah.
Letting him not die physically, but literally, well, even that, but like literally letting him just ruin his own presidency by not intervening. So it's one or the other. So maybe he is completely incompetent and inept, and his staff is literally just sitting by letting it happen, which is still bad, or this stuff is on freaking purpose. There's no way you can be that insane, dude. I get that it's a stressful job. Think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just think about a 70 or 80-year-old mechanic. He's been a mechanic forever. Mm-hmm. Just take away his personality. Don't worry about all that crap because we know what he'd probably be. But he's still good at the job. He has old tendencies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He probably shakes. Probably needs some help every once in a while with picking up a tire. Decent in his diagnosis. Sometimes he misses some things, but he's been doing it so freaking long that he's pretty good at it. And I've met these mechanics.
Yeah,
they're real people. They definitely exist. It just amazes me that someone can be in politics for so long, and not even be good at an actual political thing. Does that make sense?
Well, the thing is, he's been wrong on a lot of major decisions, and he just goes whichever way the wind blows. And whatever way the big donors in Delaware want him to go, that's the way he'll go. He's a shill. He's a yes man. He'll do it, and he's really likable. So the people of Delaware kept electing him. And then he was elected as vice president just because he was old Uncle Joe. And no one really paid attention to what he was doing in office, or he's just some guy from Delaware. It's a small state. Who are the two senators from Delaware right now?
How the hell did Delaware? How did you vote for this guy?
Come on, Delaware.
Golly, I didn't know it all started in Delaware, dude.
Yeah. Since 1972 or something like that was when he was elected to the Senate.
Freaking idiots, dude.
50 years ago. And yeah, so
I guess I get it.
People were voting for the personality, and people were voting for him because he wasn't Trump.
Yeah.
They liked his personality better than Trump.
He no bad tweets, man. No bad tweets.
Yeah. Just really, really bad policy and really, really bad execution of that bad policy.
I just don't know how. Yeah, it's just so fast. Yeah, I'm just like.
But his poll numbers are really showing that He's underwater. He's got his disapproval rating is like 49. His approval rating is like 41.
No, I know.
It's bad.
I know it's bad. I just
most independents are against Biden.
So fast, dude. Like I just don't. How did it go? Wow, I don't know. A lot of times I was taught in history class or government class, actually, yeah, both, that, you see the effects of a presidency after the presidency, right? That was always the thing, right? Or it seemed like it.
Yeah.
And like you would see like, well, since he passed this thing 4 years ago, now you're seeing it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like things are happening so fast right now that doesn't exist anymore.
That used to be true back when Congress was in charge of legislation, but now it's all federal bureaucracy and it's all enacted very quickly.
With all
everything is a freaking emergency.
Executive orders,
yeah,
and everything.
Executive
it's
orders,
all overreach.
War Powers Act, the fact that we haven't declared a war since Vietnam. No, we haven't declared a war since World War II. Did you know that?
Yeah,
we never
Vietnam was just a ceasefire. That's all they did.
No, we haven't declared war on a country since World War II.
Oh,
like Congress has the power to declare war, not the president.
Right.
The president doesn't just go, we're going to war with that country. Let's bomb them. Go. No, not how it's supposed to work at all. President can do very targeted, controlled strikes abroad, but that's it. He cannot go to another country without. He's not supposed to go to another country without Congress declaring war on that country. But since 9/11 happened, this goes back to the consequences of 9/11. Is that the War Powers and I think it was War Powers Resolution Act, I think is what it was called, basically gave Congress gave the authority to the president to put boots on the ground rapidly through the War Powers Act and to make those executive strikes, executive decisions, go after certain entities like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Taliban, whoever, that were going against American interests abroad. And you didn't have to have a declaration of war because there wasn't an actual country to declare war on. That was the idea behind it. And now you can go in and, well, I don't think they renewed it finally in like 2019 or 2018, something like that. They didn't renew the War Powers Resolution because I think Trump actually let it expire, and or didn't ask for a continuance. I'll have to double check that, but yeah, it essentially gave the president way more power to invade other countries without any
discourse
word from Congress.
Any word
without any debate or anything.
Right. Well, let's talk about the also, since we're on the subject of these random things that got enacted and stuff, the Parliament in the Senate, aren't they just advisors?
What? Wait, what? Parliament
in the Senate, like the ones that are telling them that they can't do the infrastructure bill or whatever the hell they're talking about, $3.5 trillion. The ones that are saying we shouldn't do that. There's a lot of news reports saying they are denying it, but really it's not them. They don't have the power to say it's not going to happen.
Right.
I looked it up a little bit, and it was like Parliament is like an advisor of the Senate. But then everyone's like, who has heard of the Parliament? Where did that come from?
No, it's not the Parliament. It's the hold on. Yeah, parliamentarian. That's what it is.
Parliamentarian.
Yeah. So the Senate parliamentarian is basically kind of like a advisor to the Senate.
Yeah, a board advisor almost.
Yeah. So this is from Fox News. I'm just going to kind of glaze over this article. Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough on Sunday dealt with a significant blow to Democrats' hopes of including a pathway to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants, ruling that they can't include it in their $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. So the reconciliation bill is basically the budget bill. It's what Congress passes to fund all of the acts that they've enacted during the previous fiscal year. It's to pay for Social Security. It's to pay for all those other unfunded liabilities. It's to pay for all the discretionary spending, everything. So they can't put new laws or put new policies in a budget bill because it's not something they passed previously. They can pass a law, and then the next day they can fund it through the reconciliation bill, but they can't just add on new laws. They can't just. It's kind of like I want to buy a cheeseburger. So I go to McDonald's and I say, hey, I want a cheeseburger. That's all I want. Okay. That's all I want. Okay. $6. Cool. And then I go up and say, hey, here's $7. Can I go ahead and get some fries too? Like, can I just add that on? They're like, no, I've already rung up your order. I can't do that. Can't do it. Not for the people behind you in line. That's kind of a simple analogy. Like you just can't tack on that stuff because it wasn't agreed to previously. You know?
Right. Thanks for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. You can find us at all the podcast platforms there are in the world. You can also find us on YouTube and follow us there. We are available everywhere. Please share the show if you liked it. The only way we grow is if you share, and that means you care. You can find me at The Real Sky Day on all social media platforms, and you can go see our website at therealskyday.com. See all the stuff we have to offer. We also offer apparel, and that actually does help out the show. therealskyday.com/shop, of course. But above all else, stay toasty. Toasty.